I just realized something. This is the first time. I probably just jinxed it. First episode. No flying around.
Hold on. I'm trying to see if we're live, even though
Flies have announced retirement. Finally.
Who?
The flies. Because every episode, there's at least one or two flies that are just flying around the damn camera.
Flying around the camera. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into NASCAR By The Numbers. I'm putting out one final tweet here for all the people that are not like you and already here because we've only been talking about this for a couple of days. So I'm putting it out there, folks. Just know. Anyways, what's going on? NASCAR By The Numbers here. I'm the more important of the two hosts, Will, NASCAR opinion, you can see down low. I guess this guy decided to straggle his way back in.
He can't handle it without the GOAT. The GOAT just had to return.
The GOAT had to return at Motor Minister Armany. Armany, show me. Okay, so when we talked about the hat that he is wearing, he showed this is the closest I have to a throwback hat, as if it is not literally an exact throwback hat. So go ahead and show everybody your hat.
All right, here's the hat. It's a Mark Martin Valvoline hat. All right. Even got the old NASCAR logo. Prove it.
All right, so everybody ready for mine? All right, now mine, I did not pick the best one I've got. I thought about it real quick. I was like, we probably need to throw a throwback hat on. So we're going with the GOAT, Paul Menard, baby. All right, this side.
We're done. Here, I'm done. We're done. We're done.
This side's just playing 27. The back got the iconic RCO logo. And then here, because NASCAR is notorious for making some hideous racing gear, somebody thought this was a good idea. Paul Menard's name up the hat sideways. That's the move. All right, and then you got your
listen. Let's talk about hats, okay? You see, this is a Homestead Miami Speedway hat. It's simple, it's classic, and it works. You just got the Homestead hat, you just got the logo. That's it. Better than that trash hat, whatever the hell that's on, like what, his right side?
Listen, this hat is hideous. I don't know why I ever spent money on it. I was
probably you're one of the only two Paul Menard fans on the planet.
It was probably the only Menard hat I could find, so that's what I rolled with if I had to guess. Other than that, I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. So I can't really answer that question. I've got some other cool hats somewhere. I know I've got a really cool old Indianapolis Motor Speedway hat with just a black hat with the iconic logo. All right, she doesn't see my Jeff Gordon hat, so I've got some Gordon hats, one or two somewhere. One day I'm gonna need to go through and show everybody that. But yeah, we are here for NASCAR By The Numbers. It's going to be a busy show. We're actually not going to say this is going to be a short show for once. It probably will not be. We have like 7 topics to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and kick off the show with a little bit of Kansas review. We'll give our reactions to the NextGen car. That'll be after we rant. Me and Armani both have a couple of rants. He has one. I've got one involving Kansas, and I've got an ulterior one that he will probably also rant on because it's a very mutual rant. After that, again, reaction to the NextGen car. That'll be really quick. Then we'll talk about Darlington. Then we're going to get into kind of throwing it back the second half of the show. We're going to talk about some of our throwback favorite memories growing up NASCAR fans. And then lastly, we are going to talk about just some of our favorite paint schemes, throwback schemes for this weekend. We're not really ranking them anything, just having a conversation. Which ones do we like? Maybe we'll even talk about some ones we dislike because Lord knows there are a handful of, we're going to say this is a throwback, but it really isn't a throwback. We're just going to change the color entirely and just make it look like the same body lines. So, that happened a couple of different ways. But let's get into it. Kansas. Now, Armani, I don't believe you got to watch Kansas, correct?
I saw like the last 10 laps.
I had Kansas on, but I was kind of half watching it, intently watching the last 20, 30 laps when all hell broke loose. After a boneheaded call from the tower that'll potentially could highlight what we talk about here in a couple of minutes. But top 5 from the race. Kyle Busch gets a win, keeps his winning streak going. It's Kyle Busch. I knew he was going to win eventually. Kevin Harvick out of nowhere finishes second. Kevin Harvick's had like back-to-back top 5s out of nowhere, where it's weird because he didn't really like earn the top 5s, but he did because he was there. Brad Keselowski finishes 3rd, Matt DiBenedetto 4th. So Matt DiBenedetto has been rebounding hard as of late. We got Dalton in here with us. Let's go, Dalton. We got Justin in here. Another buddy, Justin, not Justin Champagne, another guy that comes to one of the local tracks with me every week. And then Chase Elliott, my guy, comes home 5th. All right, lead dog at Hendrick this week.
First time in 2 months he finishes top 5. Congratulations, you're defending champion, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, how many titles does Alex Bowman have? That's what I thought.
Does Chase Elliott have this season?
How many titles will Alex Bowman ever have? That's what I thought.
Hey, I know.
How many Final Four appearances will Alex Bowman have?
I ain't no Alex Bowman fan. So
that's what I thought.
I ain't no Alex Bowman fan. All right.
All right. Well, you sure want to pull for him. All right. So
it's tempting.
Kyle Busch wins it. First of all, just what are your thoughts? Kyle Busch gets back in victory lane. Really kind of weird because another rant that you'll talk about in a minute is Kyle Larson dominated the day. The other Kyle wins the race. So leave Larson out of it. Just what are your thoughts on Kyle Busch winning it?
All I'm going to say is, because I'm going to get a very heated rant about my boy. Kyle Busch wins the Bushy McBush race 400
on his birthday.
On his birthday with the Busch beer car finishing 2nd.
In the Bushy McBush race. It all added up there. Kyle, we know, is one of the greatest in the garage. Everyone's talking about this and that. I don't think Ben Bayshore is necessarily the answer, but they did find victory lane. He's in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. Let's move on. The only Gibbs car without a win is Denny Hamlin, which is crazy because he's the points leader. And he's been the best car all year long. Another notable thing, we've had 10 winners in 11 races. I've always kind of rolled my eyes when somebody goes, we're going to get 16 winners. And I'm always like, I don't know about that. Slow it down. I still don't know if we get 16, but 14 or 15 is not out of the realm of possibility. Chase Elliott is yet to win. Denny Hamlin is yet to win. I kept on saying all the Penske cars have won. I think those are really the two. Harvick. So Harvick, Hamlin, and Chase, to me, are the other 3 you're kind of waiting on. Kyle got to win before Denny Hamlin. Dalton was, of course, making fun of Denny Hamlin. Dalton comes back after being gone for 2 months on Twitter. First day he comes back, Kyle Busch wins the race. So, to be honest, Dalton's probably to blame for Busch's lack of success so far this year. He comes back, Kyle wins. What a vibe. But I think those are really the 3 that you look for to still win. Hamlin, Elliott, and Harvick. At this point, I don't know if Harvick's going to win a race. I think Chase is still showing speed at times. Harvick has had finishes as of late, but they have not had the speed at all. Talladega was Talladega. He wound up 4th. This past week, he restarted 7th or 8th on a restart gap. Pretty much he threw a block on Brad, who took other cars up track and this and that. And Harvick throws a hole in there and somehow finishes 2nd. It was pretty wild. Yes, my friend Rookie, this is a Paul Menard hat, hence the word Menard. Save big money.
They exist.
Yeah, I almost went into one time. They're all up north. But 10 winners in 11 races. We have a realistic shot at 13, 14 winners. Pretty crazy. And we still got a place like Coda coming up, which is going to be awesome. This weekend's at Darlington. You never know what to expect. I think your favorites are kind of got to be the guys that you look for. Darlington tends to play to the favorites. But, hey, Regan Smith won the damn Southern 500 one time, so you never know what could happen. Eric Jones kind of surprisingly won a few years ago. At the time, he was kind of a surprise pick. If he wins in the 43 car, I think 2311 has to retire at that point. But, yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, now going into it, I'm going to let you do your rant first. Now, before you start, all I need you to say is, Will, you have been right. So you just kick it off that way, and you can just build off from there.
Larson, my boy. I love my boy Larson. Larson, he's my guy. But what are you doing?
You didn't say I was right yet.
Larson.
Hold on. Before you go off on a let me just build it. All right, since you won't say it, I'll do it to myself. For the last 3 years, I have talked about how many races Kyle Larson has given up. In the 42 car, he gave up 6 or 7 races. Now in the 5 car, he's arguably given up 2 or 3 races. All right. Your boy should probably have 15 cup wins by now. Instead, I believe he has 7. All right. Chase Elliott has more. Just so just let that pressure build up for a second. He should probably have 3 or 4 wins this year, arguably be the points leader, be the point favorite going in. Here we go. He's a choke artist. You tell me what you feel this week.
How are you going to lead 511 laps and only be 9th in points? Larson, after Atlanta, was second in points. Number 2, and arguably very close to catching Dennis, the points leader. You know, Dennis, he won't even go on the bottom to catch Joey Logano. And you know what Larson does? He just destroys himself at Richmond. He destroys himself at Talladega because he can't run a plate race to begin. First life depending on it.
His team did Talladega. I mean, they left a literal plate in his engine. I mean,
Larson can't run good at Talladega if it's like dependent on it. And then there's Kansas. He leads 140, 130, 140 laps. And then you know what he does? He just decides, you know what, Blaney? We're good buddies, right? You know we're good buddies. I got you. I was going to send you all the way to the other side of the track. And then you know what he does? He kills himself. He kills Blaney. I'm surprised he got the top 20, and he's still not the points. I could have stabbed you. You can't do that. But Larson, I'm going to read off a list. 2018, 6 runner-ups. He should have like 3 or 4 wins. 2018, 6 runner-ups. He should have 3 or 4 wins. I remember that Darlington race where it's like there is no way. It's impossible. It is impossible for Larson to lose this race. What does Larson do? He loses the race. 2019, he was 21st in points at one point. That's how bad he was. What are you doing? And then there's 2021 where he dominates Atlanta, he dominates Kansas, and then for some reason, because Larson thought, I need to build a 12-second gap in stage 2, in stage numero dos, okay? Stage numero dos. I need to build a 12-second gap for that 1 playoff point instead of getting 5 playoff points. And then guess what? He loses the race with 8 laps to go. Larson, my boy, I love you, but you need to actually close one of these races.
Sorry, a minute ago, I was trying to get my breath. I was choking there for a minute, kind of like your boy did on Sunday, but here's the thing. When Chase Elliott did things like this, that's all you heard. Choke artist. He's a choke. Oh, he's a choke. He can't win. He can't do that. Kyle Larson does the same thing. Oh, well, it's because he races for Ganassi. It's because he's just getting everything out of the car. Yeah, that's a problem. Sometimes you can't literally get everything out of the car and hit the wall. Larson's always had this problem. He's overdriven all the time. There's a reason he started in like 4 Eldora dirt races and he only won 1 because he would literally drive the right side of the truck off every single time. He said, he's Hulk Hogan. I'm telling you, brother. But
let me tell you something.
Larson, you could just say I'm right. I've been talking about it for years. He gives away races, but Ryan Blaney does the same exact thing, but you don't hear a peep. Because everybody loves him. You don't hear about
Larson. Literally, I feel like Larson is just like Larson is honestly the most generous driver in the field. Like he just how can you hate the guy? He just loves just giving stuff away. He's like, okay, you know what, Ryan Blaney, we're good. We're boys, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna give you this Atlanta win, okay? You can have it, okay? And then he's like, you know what, Kyle Busch, we both have the same name. Me and you are homeboys. So here, have this Kansas win while you're at it. Yeah, ignore what I did to Blaney earlier. I gave him an Atlanta. I wanted to give Blaney also another chance at winning. It didn't work out because, what's a gas pedal? What's a brake pedal? We're going full throttle anyway because this package is garbage. But you know what? Just take it. Just go.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I can keep up with the passion that you have right there. But because, I was right. So we understand. You can have this rant.
Larson should be either the points leader or second in points with like 3 wins. We should have only like 8 winners in 11 races, honestly, because Larson should have 2 or 3. But no.
You're angry.
Dalton, my boy. Dalton, you're one of my boys. Just believe that makes Larson win races again.
Yeah. Hey, tough artist. It's okay though. Hold on. Adam Stern announced something today. Announced today that he's raised a new $13 million from investors, including Fanatics. Okay, so it looks like Rowdy Energy is about to start hitting up 25,000 different stores. All right, that's pretty cool NASCAR news that we just broke on.
Is that going to help Larson win?
No, he's still going to check away races. That's still definitely going to happen. He's definitely not going to win. But anyways, now to get to my rant.
I hope Chase goes winless.
My rant, even if he does, you know what he's got, baby? He's got that big crown on his head from the Bingo.
Hey. If Larson wins the title this year, I'm going to go back to this video at this time at live 15-16. I'm going to be like, what'd you say? What did you say?
So my rant is the most boneheaded officiating move we have seen in a while. For folks that are not familiar, it's been a hot topic all week. So Tyler Reddick, they went through his pit stop, and a tire rolled out of his pit box, rolled about 3-4 foot in the grass off of pit road. So I'm old enough to remember when the gas man went and got David Ruderman's tire way back in the day when this happened. And it was through a caution because it was literally the middle of the freaking infield, rolling to get a tire while cars are going 200 miles an hour around Atlanta. Anyways, the tire's about 3-4 foot in the grass, and this is kind of a weird spot. Recently, that's kind of been a caution. We got to throw a yellow. Something could happen. We need to go do it. NASCAR, instead of being consistent, somebody in the tower said, maybe not. They decide to not only do this, pretty much announce it that they were going to do this. They were going to let the entire pit cycle, they were in the middle of a pit cycle when this happened. They were going to let the entire cycle of green flag pit stops come to an end before they throw the caution because they didn't want to mess up anybody's race. So they waited about 15 laps. Then they threw the caution for the same tire that was there 15 laps ago. So now I don't know if Armani caught much conversation on this, but Armani, if there's a car stalled on the racetrack, is it a hazard?
Yes.
If you waited 10 laps and the car's still there, is it a hazard?
Perhaps.
No, answer the question.
Yes.
Okay. So if it's a hazard now, it's going to be a hazard then if nothing changes. All right. So NASCAR decided to manipulate the race. They tried to say, oh, we're trying to prevent this. We don't want to. Listen, I grew up in big boy NASCAR to where if something happened, something happened. How many races have we seen where your guy's leading the race, everything's cool, they're driving one hand, smoking a ciggy with the other, they're going 400 miles, about to be done, caution comes out. They didn't care.
Did you not just hear the right on this game?
Or a caution in the middle of green flag pit stops, and they lose the race, or they lose the lead, and so on and so forth. At what point do we not let the race play out? Sometimes you win some, sometimes in Larson's case, you lose them all. So in that sense, what is NASCAR doing? You're literally manipulating the race by saying we're going to hold the caution because we don't want to change up the race at all. Now, listen, in my personal opinion, I probably would have not thrown the yellow because I didn't think the tire was that big of a hazard. You have about a 1 in a million chance of a car. These cars barely ever wreck. You have about a 1 in a million chance of a car spinning that deep into the infield and hitting a tire and it affecting somebody. Well, at the end of the day, it either is a caution or it isn't a caution. You don't say it is, but we're going to let this play out. All right. It either is or it isn't. You make a decision. This isn't like they're racing back to the line on the final lap at Talladega where the wreck happened in turn one and you're trying to let them duke it out. It either is or is not a hazard. Stupid decision to not throw the caution, but, you know, you can't fix stupid. I feel like I've said that more than I should have this weekend. But moving forward to another mini rant. We've already beefed about Texas hosting the All-Star race. Did you happen to check the god-awful format they came up with?
I just saw like rounds for this.
I think you did what everybody else did. You started reading, and about 45 minutes into reading, and you're only on the second part, you're like, good. And 45 minutes obviously is a joke. About 3 seconds in, you're like, I'm good. I'll just wait to see it. Because you've got about 14,000 inverts. You got to spin this wheel and that. I don't think it's really a wheel spin, but you know, you don't know how many cars are getting inverted after every round, and then this is going to be determined by average finish, and then we're going to take off more horsepower. So they're already getting slowed down. We're going to slow them down even more because clearly that has worked this year. The 550 package has been so great that fans just love it. We're going to take even more horsepower off, put them on potentially the worst racetrack on the schedule, and we're going to come up with a format that nobody understands. And yes, if I were to read this thing a couple times, I could understand it. But we shouldn't have to do that. As fans, we should know the format. We should be able to read the tweet once, tops twice, and know what this race is going to be about. I would have to read this thing 6 or 7 times to fully understand what is going on. There's this invert, that invert, and then we're going to do this, then we're going to do that. Then we're going to turn around backwards, run counterclockwise. Then we're going to get out, and everybody's going to jog one stage, and then we're going to switch cars, and then we're gonna turn it into a road course in one stage. Then we're gonna come back here. Then we're gonna travel to Talladega. We're gonna run one stage there. We're gonna come back, and then have a final 10-lap stage at Bristol to determine it all. You know? Like, it's just
half Bristol dirt, half Bristol concrete.
Listen, bring it home to Charlotte. But mind you, didn't even think about this till Freddie Kraft said this a couple weeks ago. They're going to travel over 1,000 miles. And there's going to be cars that, like, imagine Rick Ware Racing, who has to send 3 cars out there when they know they're not going to make the race because they're going to be about negative 20 miles per hour. All right. They're going to be going in reverse. That's how slow they're going to be. All right. And then nobody's going to vote them in because that would be a joke. All right. That just no one's going to vote them in.
You know what? Let's start a movement. Get a Rick Ware Racing car. Let's do it. Let's do it.
But, you know, they're going to travel all the way out there, 1,000+ miles of Texas, to stay there for about 30 minutes, and then they're going to roll. And that's it. If you're a charter team, you have to go. There is no debating it. Does it make sense? You have to be there. So bring it back to Charlotte. Make it make sense. Simplify the format. Do everything all-star related that day. Burnout competition. If you want to get the hauler drivers out there like they used to and have a hauler competition between all the hauler drivers. If you want to have, you know, we should have the pit crew event there again. Pit crews do get $100,000 at some point in the all-star race. That part is really, really cool. There should be a ton of things they could do there. Let's just quit being stupid with it. Just use common sense and bring it back home. But anyways, moving forward, what are your thoughts on a big reveal yesterday? The biggest story really happening right now, even bigger than really the racing on track. NASCAR's NextGen car got revealed yesterday. We finally saw it. There was an image leaked last week, so we pretty much knew what to expect. But what are your thoughts on what you've heard, what they look like? First, aesthetically, just how they look. Do you like the way they look?
They look good. Them boys look good.
I'm telling you, brother, the cars look good, brother.
They look good, boy.
They do look pretty good. The Ford, as much as I'm such a Chevy guy, the Ford looks the best. Chevy looks pretty good, and then the Camry pretty much looks like a Camry. Like it has always looked like a Camry.
Yeah, looks like a Camry.
They all kind of have that hatchback rear end. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of technological things. I think my only knock right now is that I'm concerned about is just, I know horsepower doesn't determine everything, but I really would, it would be cool for them to just bump up those motors. Get them back to 8, 9, 10, 1,000 horsepower, something badass. I think they're debating they could even drop them, leaving lower, keep them 550. I don't really know. I wish they would go back up just to have that raw speed again. But overall, I'm excited. Hopefully we'll see. I think this is the first symmetrical body. I'm sure they'll still learn how to manipulate that. But I'm really, everyone's all excited and this and that. I got to see it on track before I buy into it. We'll see what it looks like when you got 40 of them going on around one time. If they're all a single file for the next 7 years, then we're going to regret this ever happened. If we have some great racing, then we're not going to care about what kind of motor's in it. So we will see. Any extra thoughts for you on the next gen car?
You pretty much hit the head on it. This thing is going to be boom or bust for NASCAR. If this is great, we could see new golden era for NASCAR. If this thing turns into a disaster, I don't even want to know what it's going to be like in the future.
Yeah, it's make or break for NASCAR. I mean, really, we could either make the sport surge again, or it could. I'm not going to say it's going to die, but it could definitely tank a little bit. So we'll see. Now, getting into Darlington, Throwback Weekend, obviously one of the favorite fan weekends of the season. Everybody enjoys Throwback Weekend. Looking at the last 5 winners, and remind you, we had 3 races at Darlington last year. We also had our return to NASCAR then, where they kind of they had 2 races within the span of 4 days. The 3 winners from last year was Kevin Harvick twice and Denny Hamlin. Prior to that, Eric Jones, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex Jr. were all race winners. Went back a few extra years just because we had 3 all last year. Looking at your best average finish at Darlington, and now this is in the last 10 races, but I think this did exclude 1 race from last year. Kevin Harvick has the best average finish of a 5.0. Eric Jones, now he only has 5 starts there, but he technically would rank second right now with a 5.4 average finish. Kyle Busch is third with a 7.4. Denny Hamlin has a 7.6. Now, I didn't include him because he only has 2 starts. Tyler Reddick, who actually has the 5th best average finish right now with the 10.0, and then Martin Truex Jr. with a 10.4. So really the cream of the crop here. Obviously, remember what happened with Chase Elliott and Martin Truex in the throwback race last year. That was rough. But anyways, yeah, totally. When you get wrecked, you totally check. When you get dumped, right? And then the other Darlington race where Kyle Busch just went up a lane. I thought I was clear. I bet you did, Guy. I bet you did. Don't remember that happened. Kind of looking at everything, throwback weekend. Darlington's always a badass place. Darlington still may be the most badass track we go to just with the history and the way it races. What are your thoughts on throwback weekend, Darlington, and who is your race winning pick for this week?
I'm not a big fan personally of the throwback race being moved to like not the Southern 500. I kind of like the Southern 500 being mixed in with throwback weekend because it kind of gave the Southern 500 that prestige to it. I mean, let's be honest. When we go to the Southern 500, when the playoffs start, no one's going to care about the Southern 500. No one's going to say, "Oh, it's so prestigious." So, I mean, I understand why they did it, just because the sponsors didn't want the throwbacks to be mixed in with like the playoff stuff. So I get that, but I don't know. I prefer throwback weekend to be with the Southern 500. If anything, just move the Southern 500 to Mother's Day. I mean, I know you can't because it's tradition, but I mean, they moved July Day. They moved Daytona from July to the regular season finale.
Keep it on Labor Day because they moved it and they brought it back. So, I mean, hell, I would just make the sponsors get over it. Just, hey, let me tell you this: if you want a lot of exposure, create a badass throwback. Because guess what cars get the most exposure this weekend? The one with the most badass
throwback.
How about quit your whining? This is the problem we have. Everybody wants it. Oh, I want to have my regular skin. Make a badass throwback and hopefully your car's in the playoffs, and they're going to talk about it. Simple as that. Simple fix.
Even if your car is in the playoffs, if you have think about it. I guarantee in 2019, I know it wasn't in the playoffs, but it was like the second to last race before the playoffs, so they might as well have been in the playoffs. Star Comp, they throw out, the silver bullet, and they got so much exposure. And that car was running 37th. So if you make a badass car, a badass paint scheme, and your car is in the playoffs, I guarantee you, your car will probably get more exposure than probably I don't know, Michael McDowell running 30th in the playoffs with his regular scheme.
They're still going to talk about it. It sucks, but people. Everything's about money these days. So that's just how the sport turns. Who do you think is going to win this weekend?
My pick to win the race. I just went dirty on my boy. So, and I know I just said that he needs I know that I just said he needs to learn how to close out racing more often. Well, Sunday afternoon is going to be the first class in session for Kyle Larson to learn how to close some races. So Kyle Larson is going to win. And let me also explain to you why. In 2018, the last race in Darlington, with the 750 horsepower package that we're going to use at Darlington, guess who dominated that race? Kyle Larson. Now, granted, I know he I know he choked, but that was mainly a pit crew thing because the pit crew had a slower stop than Brad Keselowski.
This race is 400 miles, not 500 miles, so he has a shot.
Exactly. So keep that in mind. The last time we were at Darlington with the 750 horsepower package, it was Larson who dominated. And if Hendrick's 5 crew can actually make a decent pit stop, unlike Ganassi's 42 crew, that number 5 car is going to get a second win of the season. And Chase Elliott's still going to be the only driver at Hendrick Motorsports this year without a win. Your defending champion. Your defending champion can't even win before Byron, before Bowman, or before Larson.
I'm glad you remembered that. The only driver Hendrick with a championship. I'm glad you remembered that.
Without a win also in 2020.
My guy is riding some momentum. He has a 6.8 average finish in his last 5 starts at Darlington. I think this year they're doing I think they're doing they're not doing a throwback. They're doing another special scheme. This team usually has killer throwbacks. Kind of hate that it's not happening, but they're doing a really cool one. I think this weekend he's actually running a teacher's appreciation paint scheme. Susan. That is Brad Keselowski's winning the race. All right. Every year we go to Darlington, he is fast. He leads a lot of laps. He's starting on the pole. I think it was a few years ago. He had a killer Rusty Wallace throwback, dominated the race, won the race. Brad Keselowski, he's just an old school driver. He matches Darlington very well. He's ran very well there lately. I'm going to go with him. I think he has two or three top fives in the last 3 or 4 starts. So he's ran fairly solid there as of recent. I'm going to go with him. I like the momentum. They've been up front. They won at Talladega. They were up front, had a shot to win this past weekend. That team's always been a very momentum team. He's due for another couple of strong weeks before we see Brad Keselowski get kind of Keselowski look again, and they'll start wrecking every week again or having some weird problem. So I'm going to pick him to win. You crapped on your guy, then pick him. I'm just gonna respect Brad Keselowski for who he is and pick him to win the race. So
Larson, I still love you, my man.
So next, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Instead of the numbers wise and trying to be serious and pick this and pick that. I don't know if we could ever use
We're
the word
supposed to be serious.
Yeah, I don't know if we could use the word serious around here, but the next thing is we were gonna kind of throw back and have fun. We wanted to talk about some of our favorite childhood NASCAR memories growing up. And so we both wrote 3 down. We're going to kind of go just one at a time. What is one for you? What is one of your favorite memories growing up?
All right, let's get the throwback hat on for this. So my couple ones I got in mind is they're all still pretty recent. Well, my most recent one's from like 5 years ago, but one of them says the 2010 Texas Chase race. I remember my 9-year-old self was watching that race. Now, Jimmy Johnson, he was my only guy, I believe, that was in the hunt for the championship. I don't think Junior didn't make the playoffs that year. I don't think Kane. I got to get a head out to support my boy.
The look on your face was hilarious.
Now I got to support my boy. I will not stand for this slander.
We'll take it.
All right, so Junior wasn't in the playoffs. Gordon was non-existent as he was at that time. And Casey Kane was Casey Kane. So Jimmy was the only boy in the playoffs. So they were having terrible pit stops, as usual. And when Gordon wrecked, because Gordon always loves to wreck, the flames on his car, just for the fireball, it's always going to be in the car when he's wrecking. Anyways, so I just remember my 9-year-old self when I saw the 24 crew, pit in the 48. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, what the hell is going on? And just that was like, what do you think about it? It's like, it's genius at the same time. It's like,
oh, so the GOAT had to send his pit crew to bail you out. I remember that happening. Check it out. It's like, we're going to lose if we don't make this switch. We're going to make this switch now.
I just remember like my 9-year-old self was just like in awe of that idea. I was like, wow.
You're an idiot. Well, I guess I can go from there. My moment is actually a cool moment.
Okay.
One of my favorite moments. You'll probably enjoy this. Actually, this is a personal favorite moment. This is arguably one of my favorite just experiences in general as a kid, as a fan, as everything. So my first ever race was the 2002 Coca-Cola 600. Now, this is not the race I'm going to talk about. So I thought, hell, we go into a race. We're going to start going to races all the time. My dad thought otherwise. We didn't go to another race for 5 years. How I found out is my dad has always done kind of self-contracting work and has his own business and home repairs and all this. So he spent a ton of money at Lowe's. And this is when it was still Lowe's Motor Speedway. Yes, for all you kids that haven't been watching for more than a few years, Charlotte Motor Speedway used to be called Lowe's Motor Speedway. I know, mighty conspiracy, that Jimmy Johnson won there all the time in the Lowe's car at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Anyways.
He won all of his races in the Lowe's car.
So Lowe's gave my dad a couple of free tickets to the 2007 All-Star race. And my dad didn't tell me until the day before. So I went to school, hyped up, couldn't go to sleep the whole night. This is my second race ever. Didn't find out till 24 hours from us going. I couldn't sleep that whole night. I mean, this is when the All-Star race was still badass. 2007, we sat off of turn 2. Yes, there used to be seats at Charlotte Motor Speedway in turn 2. They were badass. Awesome seats. We had a little lunch thing with Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. We didn't get really meet them, but they had like a Q&A right in front of us. It was really, really cool. It's pretty much Lowe's VIPs is what we're doing. And this is the first time where I'm really old enough to remember a lot of moments from the race. We're sitting there. First, you have the next tail open. Go in the next tail open. My guy Paul Menard's in there. All right. Lap 1. Actually, turn 1. No. This isn't going where you think it's going, but it is at the same time. Lap 1, turn 1. Juan Pablo Montoya junks the entire open field. He goes to turn 1, loses it. He junks like half the field. I'm talking about he's destroyed. Paul Menard has crashed in the inside wall right in front of where I'm sitting. Menard's crashed, like 5 or 6 other cars crashed. Hey, you can go look it up. Look up 2007 Nextel Open, and Montoya just completely goes in there. The car doesn't set, loses up the track, wrecks about 5, 6 cars right in front of Jesus and everybody. Crazy moment. The night goes on. Same night, Kyle and Kurt Busch wreck each other. Yes, the infamous Busch Brothers crash where they didn't talk to each other for like 6 months. They wrecked each other and guess it right in the middle of turn 1 and 2. I had a whole front row seat for it. It was awesome. Kevin Harvick goes on to eventually win the race. That was really cool because my dad's next driver was going to be Kevin Harvick. And so he was already kind of cheering for Harvick, but Dale Jarrett was still around. So we were waiting for Jarrett to retire and all that stuff. But all time, I mean, that might be my most favorite race. Those are like one of those moments you wish you could go back and relive again. Like to go back and be 13 years old again, go to that race, have the fun that we had, all-time favorite moment. What about you? What else you got?
All right, the next one I got. These next two are fairly recent. Like they're both within they're both within the first 5 years. But I've only been going to races in the past 5 years. So the next one is the 2017 Daytona 500. Not necessarily, well, that too, but also my reaction to how I figured out I was going. I was in high school. I was in my class. It was boring because, high school is boring as hell. I was a genius. Everyone else is, stupid. Anyways, so I got a call in my math class, and I decided to pick up the phone. And I'm like, I don't know who the number is, but I decided to pick up anyway. And I'm like, hello? And it's like, is this Armani? And I'm like, yes, this is me. And then they're like, hi, I'm calling from Daytona International Speedway. And I'm like, wait, what? And then they're like, and then so they're like talking. I'm like, listen, I'm about to get out of class in like 10 minutes. Can I call you back then? They say yes. I get out of class. I call them as I'm going down the stairs. And then they pretty much say like, are you excited? I'm like, excited for what? It's like, you just want tickets to the Daytona 500. And so in that moment, I'm outside waiting for my cousins because I waiting for my cousins to get out of his class so we could drive home. And I just blew up in excitement. I was jumping around. I was screaming. I was doing somersaults. I was going to the moon like Dogecoin. I was excited because I never gone.
Somebody looking at you going, what is up with that guy?
That's how it was. Like I saw people looking at me and I didn't care because I was just excited. I was fist pumping. I'm like, I'm going to the Daytona 500. This is only my second ever race. And I instantly called my dad and I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing on Sunday? And he's like, probably working. And I'm like, yeah, you thought we're going to the Daytona 500. And so we went to the Daytona 500. Like it was awesome. One thing I remember for the 500 is that when that period was like 30 or 20 laps to go, there was like a caution every lap. Me and my dad were just like, okay, me and my dad were like, okay, how much you want to, all right, let's have a drinking game for every time there's a caution. We didn't actually do it. I mean, I didn't do it. I was only 16 at the time, but he pretty much took a shot of his beer every time there was a caution. He's like, Casey K. Rex, Kyle Larson wrecks. Like one of the Rick Ware. I mean, I know he didn't wreck. He ran out of gas on the last lap. One of the Rick Ware cars wrecked. But that was awesome to see my first Daytona 500, to see Daytona, to go to Daytona for the first time. Just being there, always being part of that environment, it was just amazing. Like, I want to go to different races before I go to the same one over and over again, besides Homestead, because Homestead's literally like 2 minutes away from me.
But that's been like every race he's been to, it's that race, but all right.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, Homestead's like 2 minutes away from me, for crying out loud, but that race was awesome. In fact, here's the hat. This is the hat. I drop all my other hats. This is the hat from that race. You can see right there, February 26, 2017. Literally. I would wear more often if the Velcro didn't break off.
Well,
that wasn't awesome.
My second moment was I don't have any more moments at the track because I do have a ton of moments at the track. I've been to like 30 races. And it's all badass. First time at Daytona, Talladega, all of them. My second one was also in 2007, and that is one of the best battles we have ever seen. And that is Mr. Jimmy Johnson versus Mr. Jeff Gordon at Martinsville. Back and forth, iconic battle. Jeff hit the brake late, so Jimmy could win it right there at the line. But iconic battle. Jimmy ended up winning by like half a car length or a couple of, I don't remember. Well, everybody remembers that iconic thing. Those two drivers really more sort of in a weird way, like a passing of the torch moment. It was before, this was after Jimmy's first title, about to win his second title later in that year. But this was really kind of more of the patching the torch moment. Jimmy and Jeff raced for a good like 20 laps. Just both of them, two of the best to ever do it at Martinsville. Back and forth. Gordon was beating on his bumper. And he showed you how you can race aggressively and respectfully at the same time. One of the coolest moments for the car of tomorrow. Those two guys just duked it out, respected each other. And at the end of the day, Gordon won anyways because Gordon was the car owner. But Johnson wins. Gordon finishes second. Iconic battle. I'm sure you remember that battle. Or if you weren't watching, you at least need to go back and look at that. One of the best battles between those two ever. I mean, it's just as good as Atlanta 2011 between those two. I mean, that's how good it was in one of the first races ever for the car of tomorrow. So what is your third and final one that you want to throw out tonight?
Third and final one. We're going back to this bad boy over here. My first ever race.
You got to meet me.
I thought we were supposed to say iconic moments. Anyway.
It is iconic.
2016 Ford EcoBoost 400. The first ever race I went to. I remember I was with my dad at the restaurant, and then we were just like, you know what? We just realized, why the hell have we never been to a NASCAR race? I was 15 at the time. We were just like, probably a good idea to go now, considering, I've been watching NASCAR for like, 10 years up to that point. He's been watching it with me. So we decided to finally go down to Homestead. We were sitting towards, the start-finish line. We got some pretty decent seats up top. And then, if you know the story of that race, obviously Jimmy Johnson wins his 7th title, and it made it even better just because my dad was a Jimmy Johnson fan. So he was a hardcore Jimmy Johnson fan. Like he's like as soon as he saw Jimmy Johnson win Martinsville, he's like, he's winning the title. He's winning the title. That's it. It's over. He said it's over.
When he won.
Yeah. So it was really cool to see Jimmy Johnson win the 7th title. Not, just for, for what it meant for me and my dad, but just also just how historic that was, to be at such a historic event, to see him tie Richard Petty, to see him tie Dale Earnhardt. And just the race was awesome. And it was also chaotic. I mean, I always say, if you're a Jimmy Johnson fan, you're a Dylan Lupton fan. And that's the race where I got that from. Because if it wasn't for that caution, Carl Edwards or Joey Logano will be your 2016 champion. So my first ever race, it's an experience I'm never going to forget. So that was just an amazing experience.
I know that means a lot to you, especially things with your father and everything that's happened, in the years since then. So I'm sure that's a badass moment. But my one cannot compete with that. But I'll never forget the day that my boy won the 2011 His one and the only Cup Series win. I remember that race. I remember every moment from that race. Fuel mileage race. It was like him, McMurray, Mark Martin, and maybe one other car. They were all staying out. They were all running in a line. They were all saving fuel. You have Jeff Gordon coming out there with fresh tires, full tank of gas, just balls to the wall, the greatest to ever drive at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a stock car. Just hauling balls, going to catch them all. And then so Mark Martin, Pokemon, going to catch them all. Mark Martin slips away. I remember when Slugger Labby pretty much, Gordon was coming too quickly, and he pretty much told Paul, it's go time, go. Paul immediately passed him McMurray. He hit the gas. Gordon's coming down. Paul Menard catches a lapped car after taking the white flag into turn one. Very reminiscent of J.R. Hildebrand, who very earlier that year ended his IndyCar career pretty much. I mean, he didn't. He's still running. But never, if he would have won the Indianapolis 500, would have become a superstar. Didn't happen. Crashed on the last corner. Waiting for Paul Menard to do the same thing. Jeff Gordon catches the car in a rough spot. Menard pretty much just needs to make it back. Paul Menard comes out of turn four. Probably the one Cup race he ever wanted to win. That is the biggest race to him. His father owned Indy cars for years. They never won anything in Indianapolis. Paul Menard wins the 2011 Brickyard 400 on fuel mileage. I remember my heart pounding out of my chest. I was watching in my dad's room, my parents' house, and it was just unbelievable. It was awesome. We got Dakota in here. But Paul Menard winning that race in 2011 is why, hey, my guy Paul, he might only won every now and then, but he pretty much won at every track he would want to win at. He won at the Milwaukee Mile. He won at Road America in Wisconsin. I'm thinking of the correct track. Road America, won at Indianapolis, and then if you want to throw in another northern track, won at Michigan. All right. My dude Paul Menard may not won very often, but he won winning. All right. He won when it mattered to him most. Okay.
Hey, what are the chances Menard comes back for the Cup race at Road America?
He's not going to, but it would be awesome. The car would definitely be yellow. So that would be badass. I'd be all for it. He's not going to, though, I don't think. It'd be cool. Maybe Penske throws something together. I'm sure he would maybe be interested in it, but I don't really know. But those are my three moments. The 2007 All-Star race I got to go to in person. Jimmy Johnson versus Jeff Gordon back in 2007 at Martinsville, and Paul Menard winning the 2011 Brickyard 400. And now here we are, almost 50 minutes into this deal, and we finally get to talk about some of our favorite throwback paint schemes from this weekend. So,
I'm not gonna lie, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, which ones have you seen that you like?
I'm gonna be honest, a lot of them were kind of just been to me. Like
the trucks in the series have been killing it.
Yeah, Xfinity, Michael Annette, always killing it with the throwbacks. Riley Herbst, probably the only time you'll see Riley Herbst in the top three in anything. His throwback paint scheme is badass.
What is his throwback of?
Tony Stewart's rookie car.
Yep, I do remember seeing that. The thing is, they just did that like a year ago with Eric Almirola.
No, that was his 2005 car.
Okay, the ones that all looked alike.
And if I had to come up with a third one, God, what's the third one coming to my mind? Sheldon Creed. Sheldon Creed's 2 truck. That thing is badass.
Is that the one that's the old school like Ted Musgrave?
Yeah.
First of all, the truck series is nailing it this year. All right. You got Chris Wright. I don't even know who the hell Chris Wright is. I don't even know who he drives for. But he's got the Goodwrench, Matt Crafton, Kevin Harvick throwback. Badass. One of the most iconic truck series schemes there was. I don't remember who's running the Bobby Hamilton Square D car or truck. That looked badass. The one you mentioned, let me see. Carson Hocevar has the Johnny Benson truck, the Valvoline.
Ooh, that one.
That's badass. Then you look in the Xfinity series, both Jeremy Clements and Brandon Brown.
Oh, yeah. Oh, those are beautiful.
The Dale Jarrett throwbacks are
those are badass. Those are badass.
Badass about Brandon Brown's cars on the back. You know how Dale Jarrett always said, "What can Brown do for you?" Well, he has that, but then he has an arrow that says, "Brandon Brown do for you," and it's pretty cool.
I saw that. That is badass.
Cup Series, Chase Elliott has the cool Hooters looking car. Tyler Reddick has the Marty Robbins pink and yellow car, and then Eric Almirola has the badass flame paint scheme that Mark Martin used to run on the Winn-Dixie car.
Oh yeah!
If you have not seen that throwback, it is awesome.
I saw that. I like the Marty Robbins one just because I've actually listened to Marty Robbins music. He's got some pretty good music. So, every time I see a Marty Robbins throwback, I'm like, damn, that's cool.
Yeah, rumor has it that Kyle Larson's going to throw it back to the 57 car where he doesn't choke races away.
Please.
I had to.
Please.
But yeah, some great paint schemes. Like you said, Michael Annette, Justin Allgaier is really cool. Noah Gregson throwing it back to last week. Same paint scheme. That's iconic paint scheme. I love Noah Gregson's paint scheme, period. But I do hate they didn't get to do a throwback this year. And then what is it? So the 8 car has the baseball scheme. Allgaier has the it's supposed to be the Tasmanian Devil, but they changed it to match their sponsor. That's pretty cool. I'm sure there's a couple really, really iconic ones we're missing. A lot of people knocked it out of the park. JD Motorsports is cool. Colby Howard, who's from the upstate of South Carolina, he's thrown it back to his father's late model paint scheme. Really looks cool. Ryan Vargas has the Valvoline Mark Martin. They're doing Jeffrey Earnhardt has the American flag with the chrome throwback. That's going to be a badass car to see. There's a lot of them that are really cool. Alex Bowman, it's weird of a throwback, but great color. I like the colors they're using. It throws it back to Greg Ives' old late model back in the day. So there's going to be a lot. I said the other day, this may be the best year depth-wise of all the throwback schemes. So I believe that's what we have it. We kept it under an hour. We did a good job that direction. It's going to be a fun weekend. Unfortunately, I'm probably only going to get to watch the Cup race. I'll be working at dirt tracks the next 2 nights. So everybody, Armani included, who's had tons of days off and doesn't know what to do with it, enjoy the race. Hope you watch them. And unless you have anything,
I'm on vacation.
Yeah, unless you have anything else to add, we can roll out.
Larson, don't lose project.
We'll see you next time. See you.